Deebo Samuel, next team. Washington Commanders plus 300, Chargers plus 400, Panthers plus 500. Who I bet he wants to go there. Broncos plus 600, Patriots plus 700, Steelers plus 800, Raiders plus 1,000, and Rams plus 1,200. What do you think is a savvy wager here? Where do you think Deebo's going to end up, Larry?
Well, it's interesting. Yesterday, this week we saw him wearing the Eagles shirt and celebrating with A.J. Brown, and I would not put it past a guy like Howie Roseman everybody always loves the guys who beat them, and I'm sure Howie Roseman remembers the great game that he had in Philly, so maybe I could see Philly going after a guy like this. Now, he also just put himself on his story wearing a Broncos thing saying, how cool would that be? So
he also went on his podcast and he had his host be like, so what team do you think is going to be really good next year? And he's like, oh, Denver for sure. They're just like one piece away.
Yeah. So Denver, it seems like he wants to be in Denver. I mean, the Niners have made deals with Denver in the past. So obviously there's a relationship that Lynch has there.
Sean Payton's good.
Washington is interesting because they're the favorite, and man, Jaden Daniels looks amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing.
Plus, it's a relationship with Adam Peters.
The relationship with Adam Peters. The other thing about Deebo is that, you know what? I think everybody, he's one of the weirdest players. Why? Because on one hand, 49er fans saw how badly he regressed, and I think if you're a really knowledgeable 49er fan, you're like, hey, man, Deebo's done, and he's doesn't have a whole lot left, and you're not going to get anything of value. Like, I think the Niners could probably hope to get like a 5th-round pick for Deebo. But then looking at the comments, it's pretty clear that Kyle Shanahan thinks of Deebo as a star. John Lynch was like, we're not in the business of giving away good players. And Niner fans, because those two guys overvalue Deebo, the fans overvalue Deebo. And a lot of the comments that I'm seeing are like, you can't move him for anything less than a 3rd-round pick. Or like, I mentioned maybe he goes to Philly. People are like, oh my God, you can't let him go to our arch rival. Dude, put it together, people. This guy is done. All right? He is cooked. Go look at the history of the NFL. Every back or receiver that has been a run through you type of guy, career hits a wall at 28, 29, 30. There are no exceptions. Maybe John Riggins might be the one exception. Other than that, every run through you person, his career is done at 28. He's 28. He's probably done. So this idea that, oh my God, you can't trade him to Philly. Yes, you can. And and this idea that, you
Why
can't get
Philly
anything less than a
him?
3rd. I mean, that's the one thing. I don't know if Philly would want him.
They don't need him.
But they definitely don't need him.
They don't need him.
My point is just that, you know what? They're not getting a 3rd-round pick for this player. And I know Lynch and Shanahan like him and they've talked him up, but I don't think they're going to get a day 2 pick. It's a day 3 pick, and it's probably a late day 3 pick.
I think it's so interesting that the Dolphins have the longest odds to trade for Deebo Samuel. Like, that's Mike McDaniel and Wes Welker. Wes Welker developed Deebo Samuel. Wouldn't they be interested? Maybe not. Like, why are the Dolphins?
He badly wants to go there. You saw
I know.
the way he played
that seemed like a good bet, actually. Like, I could see Mike McDaniel kind of wanting him and Wes Welker feeling like I can get the best out of him because I have already. I'm going long shot here. $10 to win $700. Oh, yeah, I want that.
He was begging for Miami. I mean, the way he played in the Miami game, he hasn't played that hard since the Philly game in Philly a couple years ago. So, I think he badly wants to be in Miami. He badly wants to play for McDaniel. He badly wants to live in Miami. So I would say Miami would be a good call. But once again, the price tag coming back, it's going to be nominal.
Tell me if you agree with this. I feel like Deebo's stance here is kind of Jimmy Garoppolo-esque. Like, you know what? Kyle's plays suck now, and it's his fault. And I want to go play for someone like Sean Payton, who's really creative and who can sort of give me the openings to be who I am again. I feel like this is sort of Deebo saying, it's your fault, Kyle. Your plays aren't so good anymore. I'm great.
And the same thing that Jimmy learned is the same thing that Deebo's going to learn, which is that,
I don't know, man.
Careful what you wish for. And I just personally don't think Deebo I don't think Deebo can do it. I mean, he averaged 2.3 or 3.2 yards per carry. He didn't do it as a runner. He's not much of a receiver. He doesn't have the kind of ability to run routes. So he's kind of a glorified kick returner.
That's by far his best position in 2025. He is one hell of a kick returner.
He's got a pretty big ego. He's got a pretty big opinion of himself. He put his hands on the long snapper. He challenged the kicker, and then he wasn't going that good. And then to me, I knew he was done as soon as Kyle featured him after he had been bitching and complaining, because you knew that was his parting gift. That was if he was gonna stick around, no way he was gonna get the ball like that. But the fact that Kyle wanted to be like, hey, you know what? We tried. We gave you the ball over and over and over again.
Yeah, you said you were going to step up. You couldn't step up.
You couldn't step up. You were done.
Yeah.
So I think he's moving on. If I had to bet with somebody there, I would say I'd probably go Miami or maybe Denver. Maybe Denver.
Denver seems like where he wants to go. Guys, if you want to wager on this, you want to go wager on Myles Garrett future, go check out BetUS. Also, they have live casino games like Craps and 21 and stuff like that. If you want live casino games, check out BetUS, which sponsors our show. Okay, some super chats. Dave Barclay says Purdy sucks. Lyle sucks. Fire both of them. Fire Brock Purdy? Damn, Dave. That's rough.
I think he means
he calls Kyle Shanahan Lyle just because he thinks Lyle's like a weak name. There's probably Lyle's watching the show being like, that's a perfectly fine name.
Dude, you wouldn't have said that to Lyle Alzado.
That's right. Zach, I always think of Lyle the crocodile. Zach Rivero says, do you think Deebo saw writing on the wall and asked for a trade to save embarrassment of getting traded or cut? Wouldn't mind seeing Devontae as a Niner. Do you think he saw the writing on the wall?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are you, gaslighting us? I mean, it's like you're going to try to say that the 49ers don't want you. The 49ers have been bending over backwards for you. You're done. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he doesn't get away from anybody anymore. He doesn't make big plays. I don't know what to say about the guy other than, he was a good Niner. He was fun to watch. The one thing I'll say about Deebo is he's such a one-of-one, Grant, that somebody who likes that kind of a gadget player may give the Niners a 4th or 5th round pick just because.
Is he still a gadget player, though? Like, I don't even know if you could call him that anymore.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I bet you there are some people that look at him and say he's done, and they know the history of NFL guys, and they are like, "Yep, he's done." But I bet you there's a percentage of football personnel people that are like, "Man, the Niners' offensive line stinks, and if you get him here in Baltimore, you know what? He'll be better. You get him here in Kansas City.
It comes down to this. If you could tell me that you would guarantee that Deebo would keep his weight below 220 for the whole season, I would sign up. But if you're getting Deebo at 235, who needs that player? And I don't know what he weighs, but I would want to know if I were investing in Deebo Samuel exactly how much he weighs. And I would 215 Deebo is a great player. 235 Deebo is not.
Right. And you saw that picture of him with the boiler in the Eagles jersey. That right there may convince some teams not to be interested.
Who could trade for that? Yeah. Sorry.